That's great. I'm glad to hear it. I can tell it in your voice. This is the second time that I've called, but it was a couple years ago, and you
Mhm.
gave me some things to do, which I did and am still doing. But I had two questions. One is since COVID's been over, I took on a puppy. I adopted one,
Uh-huh.
and it feels really, really psychic between he and I. Like
Uh-huh.
I ask him questions and then I'll have a dream and he'll tell me things. So, or he'll show me things. He doesn't really tell me. But I'm having lots of problems with him and his food. And I don't kn- I've tried everything. So he doesn't like kibble. I feed him fresh ground beef or chicken livers or everything. And after a while, he just always gets sick and he'll throw up. And
Because
I don't,
you're giving him too rich of a food, and he's a puppy. How old is he?
well, he's 2 years and like 3 months, four
You're still
months
giving
now.
him you're giving him too rich of a food. You're better off is to going to one of those high-end PetSmart stores and go and find the food that they keep in the refrigerator
Yeah.
and get
He,
something like that and see how he is. And you'll have to start feeding him less or feed him twice a day, where you give him 2 meals a day, but you're cutting the meal in half.
okay. Well, I have done the pet food thing. I've given him all different kinds. I even took him to a homeopathic person, and she gave me stuff to kind of help clear out his system. He won't eat almost anything. No dry food, no canned food, no fresh pet from the fridge. He
Okay,
loved
so he's
the
telling you, I want you to be my chef, bitch. Okay?
yeah, he is a
He
little
said, you want
spicy.
the psychic information? Give me the real food. That's the deal here, woman.
Yeah, well, he
Well,
loves a little bit of
you gotta ask
everything.
them, what do you want me to cook for you today? And with that, we will exchange psychic visions.
Yeah, I told him. I mentioned that to him today because I'm like, I don't know what else to do. Because I'm cooking 2 or 3 times and like I do what you said, like I give him a little bit in the morning and a little bit in the evening, and he'll just look at it until it gets dried up. But I
Yeah, because
will I'll
it's not what he wants.
yeah, because it's not what he wants. So then I put something else out.
What
And
is it that he really wants? Is he wants the food you're eating?
yeah, but he can't have that. No onions, no garlic, no nothing like that.
That's what makes him throw up.
Well, that's toxic, supposedly toxic to dogs is that kind of stuff. No
My
chocolate,
dog
no.
eats that stuff all the time. I lived
Oh
till he was
yeah.
16. Yeah, I know chocolate
Well,
is toxic to dogs.
supposedly garlic and onions are too.
So we're
But
Greek, so we have garlic and onion in just about everything. The only thing my dog wouldn't eat, he'd spit out cucumbers.
yeah, he doesn't like anything. He doesn't like fruit. He doesn't like vegetables. He only likes meat. And I worried because, I don't want it to be feeding him something that's eventually going to be harmful. But out in the wild, wolves and dogs, they just ate meat. They didn't
Sure,
they didn't
sure,
eat rice and carrots.
pure protein.
I'm sorry.
So that's all pure protein. So do you know what kind of dog it is? What kind of mix he is?
Well, he looks like he's a poodle mix with either like Maltese or I think he's part Westie because he's thick in the middle, but he's all white. He has
He's got some
go
inbreeding
ahead.
in. He's got some inbreeding in him. That's what it
Y-
means.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
He's got a pink nose, amber eyes,
Yeah.
and he's all white.
Yeah. So you're just gonna have to find out what you can buy. Like find a local butcher, and you can buy scraps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to keep it somewhat cold but not frozen. He may not
Hmm.
frozen meats. He may not like. And go with that.
Okay.
That's all you can do at this point. You love this dog. You gotta find what he can eat.
Yeah. I've had him for over a year now. And so we're just still working it out. And so I thought maybe if I brought it up to you, you might be able to See, so
Well,
you're telling.
this is for you to work out, but obviously this dog's karma too. He probably had a shitty life last time where he's like, I want real food. I'm going to come in as a dog and find a human that's going to make me real food. I want a chef.
Yeah. Well, and I do cranial sacral therapy and Reiki, so I treat him all the time. And
Yeah,
work
but
with him like that.
don't over treat your dog. Otherwise, he won't be able to work on himself.
Oh, okay.
That's something like limit it to like twice a month.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
Learn to have close time with the dog that isn't you healing.
Well, most of the time it's not. We're walking, we're talking,
Does
we're,
he like to sit on your lap?
no, he doesn't like to be picked up. The only time he likes to be cuddled is early in the morning. He sleeps on the edge of the bed. He's not one of those ones that wants to
Yeah,
come up and get
watch.
under your covers or anything.
He's a watcher. That's fine. He's
So
watching.
that so he's does that mean he's watching? He's a good guard dog. Is that why he's watching?
Yeah, that's in his genes. That's the gene part of the poodle.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that sounds great. Do I have time for another question?
Yeah. Tell me about what we talked about last time and what were you able to put into effect?
Okay, so I was talking to you about the babies that I work with because I work with like babies who have tongue tie or torticollis or new to pre-crawling babies, and you had told me to work. I could work with colors, but I actually haven't done that because my business has kind of been slow this
Mhm.
past year. But I do. I've been using red light therapy on myself, and I do think that that might help some of the babies. But the big thing that I took away from that as well was you wouldn't let me hang up until you told me about myself, which I was not trying to hear at the time. But um, you told me to go and get not Reiki, what is it? And not Rolfing. It was some kind of body work, and it's an energy type of work.
Myofascial.
Yes, that was it. And
Yeah.
and I have been doing it ever since, and my body has completely changed. I'm still, kind of working on things because I have vertigo. I have Meniere's disease,
Okay.
and so so it's been like 2.5 years or something, or almost three, that I've been going to that practitioner, and he's really really good. You also told me to do floating, but because of the Meniere's, I don't do floating.
Okay.
Because it makes, being in water and having the water move, it brings on the dizziness.
I
But
understand.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I understand that.
Okay. So those were the things I put into effect at the time. I was doing a lot of the revocations, and I mean like several times a week, and the heart meditation. And I've gotten really busy at work, and I just haven't been able to do them as much. But the question that I wanted to ask is, I feel like I'm kind of stuck. My house, I can't keep it clean. I'm working the two jobs. um I don't feel like I'm exhausted, but I don't feel like I have the energy to do it. And I I look really young, but I turned like 66 this year.
Uh-huh.
And I don't I just I took started taking Jardians for the diabetes, and I lost a lot of weight. I walk him twice a day for 20 to 40 minutes each time. And I don't know why I can't get my house in order, because that project management is what I've done my whole life, and I can't seem to get it together here. And I wanted to ask you if you had any suggestions for me, because I could hire somebody, but I've been robbed more than once, so I kind of don't want anybody in here.
Okay. So let me be plain and blunt with you.
Okay.
You've reached a point in your life you are not the spring chicken you were before.
No, you're right.
And you're now reaching the point where your inner self and the ego have to come to terms with you're not the spring chicken anymore. and that you need help to do things.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Now
can.
there's more behind those blunt words, but for you to be able to hear it, you actually have to look why you're so out of energy to do your own work. When are you going to retire? You're 67.
No,
Is
I'm 60.
retirement even a reality? Is retirement even a reality for you?
Possibly, but what I was trying to do, and why I pushed out my retirement, and I work in healthcare, but in the IT part of it, is I wanted to add an ADU in the backyard so I could set myself up to have income coming in after I retire. And I do have some, I do have pension and that kind of thing, but it's not a lot in terms of what I need for California. And all of my baby body work people are here, the ones that refer me and the community.
Right, the clientele that you build up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all here. So I could move to Atlanta where my sisters are, but I would have to restart with, all my credibility and stuff. And so also I can't move there for my job. So I was trying to do an ADU here, and I actually got a HELOC approved, but I haven't signed it yet because
how much is the home equity line of credit for?
For 350,000, and that would allow me to put a garage where I could do my baby body work, and an apartment on the top that I could rent out, and then fix the wiring in the house I live in and the foundation. Okay. So, but I've been told to wait because of the rates.
Let me give you a little advice here.
Okay.
You do not want an apartment that you're renting out above your baby energy place, period.
Oh, okay.
2, you have still not answered, is retirement a reality for you? 3, if you were to open your personal place in the place that you are right now, it will take you a year and a half to go through just the approvals in the getting the permit, or longer.
Permitting,
that makes you 69. By the time you might just start building, and it might take a year for them to do it, assuming there's no other permitting issues, that makes you 70.
Yeah.
So the reality is California is not business friendly for you. That has to sink in along with retirement. You got to go to some place where your retirement funds actually will go a much longer way. Simple as that. You got to face the reality of a 67-year-old woman who will have to restart her business somewhere else. But that's the beauty of retirement. It will allow you to restart it in such a way that you can make sure you don't make the same mistakes. And there's all sorts of things you can do to take information from one group to another, videos that you can do, ways that you can do advertising, and obtain something that will be half the rent value, or even less than half. Okay? Or more than half, sorry. That's the reality you have to face. You can't do it all on your own anymore. You've reached a point where your body is telling you, I'm going to shut down because we don't have the energy to do this work. And there's part of you that's ignoring that message from your own body. Doing 2 jobs. Can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's difficult. I realize that maybe that's why my business slowed down, is because it was
down because you were splitting your efforts between the two, and you weren't putting the 100% effort like you believed you were. In reality, people could tell you're tired, you're exhausted, you're not putting the same effort to work with clients, and it's slowly degraded energy, as well as it's a niche market. That means you constantly have to be promoting yourself and getting clients and hustling for them.
Yeah, I do have people that refer. I have IBCLCs, and I'm on the mommy groups, but you're right. I don't do a lot of self-promotion other than the referrals.
Right.
So
Those are
number
the facts
one,
those are the facts you have to face.
okay.
And if you continue to ignore those facts, the next thing you will be is 70 years old with a $300,000 HELOC loan in California, and who the hell knows what California is going to look like 3 years from now.
Yeah, I know. I was worried about that. So, all right. Well, I appreciate it.
Okay? Face the facts of where you're at and come up with a new business model that includes getting out of the 2-job scenario. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Go look at
Mm-hmm.
it. You'd be surprised how many places that you could extend your work and get yourself noticed over there. But if your heart isn't into letting go of the other job so that your mind and your genius can be focused on one thing instead of split into two, you'll be able to project manage yourself again.
Yeah, I want to give up, to retire from my other job that I've been at for 20 years. But I just wanted to make sure, I'm the only person that I can depend upon for income. I can't depend upon anybody else. I don't have children or a husband. So that's why I was
So the
trying to.
reality is retirement is not reality for you.
Not right now.
You got to learn to make it reality for you. I made you got to move to some place that will support what you do have in retirement and start your business from there. And that's why you're stuck. Because any effort you put into this house right now is going to be treading like treading molasses. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I got it. I
All
got
right,
it.
thanks a lot for calling. I got to move on to the next caller.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Have a really good day.
Yes. And we are joined by David Ellis. How you doing today, David? David, you're muted. David?
Yes.
There we are. How's it going today, David?
Yes, I was speaking into a muted mic.
Right, I do it all the time.
All right. How's it going, guys?
Going very, very good. How are things with you today?
Oh, it's up and down, but the new life is looking up. I grew tomatoes and chives and basil, and I actually made like Italian marinara sauce with basil in it. And yeah, it's kind of like I'm living like the other kids.
Wow, we're gonna have to get you a set of overalls now.
Oh no, we're not doing the overall.
And camouflage jacket.
Nope, we're good. We're good. How is everybody today?
Doing wonderful. Let's move on to the next caller. I see Ashley. She has her hand up. Give Joel, give her a signal on mute. Ashley.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
Doing great. Is my video on?
No, I think we have our videos off right now. We're doing videos off. We got
Okay.
some people that are doing unpleasant things every now and then in Zoom, so we're just leaving it off.
Oh yeah, I remember those. That would flash every now and then from the old videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's it going with you?
Oh my gosh. Freaking fantastic.
Did you take that job in Florida?
No, I didn't.
Ah.
I was feeling like a no about it still, and even after the call, I was feeling a no again, and I soon found out why. There was so much heart opening to be had staying here. And yeah, so like with my best friend and her son, and he graduated high school and he wanted me to be there. He had his pick of family to be there and he asked for me to be there. And so it makes me emotional. I just felt I feel very happy. And I think the way the summer's unfolded and the things going to Oregon, I don't know if have been able to do that, to join you guys.
If you had been able. Yeah.
if I went to Florida, I don't think I would have been able to join you guys.
Well, you are able to do it now. That's all that matters.
Yeah. So I'm glad it was the decision I made. I feel like it was the right one for that time.
Wonderful. Have you been able to continue with the role thing?
My rolfer has gone on vacation. So he's doing his summer sabbatical. So I'm not doing body work right now.
Okay.
But I did call in for a special update specifically.
Oh, tell me.
Yeah. So I went to Mount Shasta.
I saw you put that post up. How was it?
Oh man, it was so. I had been nervous about it, and I was a little bit nervous on the drive there because I'd never really experienced seeing like crafts in the sky, you know? And that's what we were gonna do. We were gonna sit out and watch crafts some of the nights and do a lot of spiritual light worker fun stuff. And so the drive there, nervous, but it was all okay. Like it all ended up being okay. So the first night we did see some blinking ships in the sky.
Yeah, you always see shit up there because there's so no light pollution.
There was so much cloud cloaked ships. There was a lot of cloud cloaked ship activity. Like the first couple of days we were there too. So was
there a muffin top on top of clouds on top of the mountain?
There were muffin tops on top of muffin tops on top of muffin tops.
Yeah, so that's called a triple lenticular. So usually when that's happening, there's an electromagnetic storm going on inside the mountain from the various coronal mass ejections and solar flares that are going on. That means the mountain's building up an electromagnetic charge that'll eventually broadcast out, and that's probably why you're seeing an odd assembly of sparkly lights everywhere.
So, well, besides that, the first night, so I saw a blinking. We did like a group meditation together. A lot of like-minded people. There was some people who were awakened to their light language, and we had a channeler there, which brought a really cool dimension to the group. So Lily Nova, the person who hosted it, we were doing a sage ceremony in the beginning of it, and as she was saging me, she's like, wow, she's like, I can see some wings on your back. And so I said, oh, freaking cool, because like I'm also kind of there as a pilgrimage to connect to my dragon self in Telos. So the first day, the next day, we went up to the mountain and we did a like prayer meditation around the Sacramento headwaters where it bubbles up out of the mountain.
Yep.
And it's a keyhole shape. And so we kind of gathered around the keyhole and we did a prayer meditation. And we split up, but in Lily's group, she had someone in her group that opened their dragon wings. That was a gift that the king and queen of Telos had, showed up for them, and she was able to open her dragon wings. So I was like, wow, it was intense. I feel boosted. I'm very boosted from this entire trip. And I completely understand now. I understand now why the place is not for everyone.
Well, beautifully put. Why it is not for everyone. Okay? Beautifully put. Okay?
There was some spookies and some heebies and the jeebies.
Yeah. And you went at a time where the mountain had shut off some really dingleberries that didn't belong there. I'll simply call them that. Okay? Shut off a bunch of dingleberries and it was actually able to produce what its original purpose was, that energy that allowed awakenings to greater internal powers and strengths. And now their journey begins. The wings are open, and then metaphorically, now what? Always is going to come. So when people have these experiences and the mountain opens them up to it, this goes back to in ancient history. There's a reason people went to the mountains. There's a silence, there's a quiet, there's an energy, there's an activation. Worldwide, this happens. But it happens to be where you have a massive tourist industry going on there. And the mountain treats everybody equally. Doesn't matter where in the spectrum you are. You're going to get what you get. Okay? You don't get what you want, you get what you need. Like the Rolling Stones song.
Yeah.
Don't always get what you want.
What you want.
Exactly.
You try sometimes. Get what you need. So there's more. I'd like to continue telling the story to you.
Go ahead. Yes.
But the night, so my first night, I saw that blinking flash, and it was just kind of heart opening. You know, I went there with the intention of having childlike joy again, and just having a really good time. I wasn't expecting much. I just wanted to do that, and just scope it out, scope the place out, see how I feel about it. And I actually had to set up a tent outside the house the first night because the house was full. There weren't any beds, so I signed up for that. And so the first night I slept outside. It was quite disturbing, and it was hot, and I ended up having a bad dream. There was some spookies, some ghosts that showed up in my dream, and it took place inside the house, even though I was outside.
Yeah, you went at the height of tourist time, and at the height of tourist time, that mountain would get very, very, let's just say, has some corner drug dealer issues. Energetic Crips and Bloods battling for territory.
So I did some due diligence, before I went. Like, I would make sure to start my days with my morning prayers. I did salt on my spine and my neck. I wanted to have dream experiences. I did, other things. I did some things like starting 2 weeks before. And so that night I had to deal with the spookies, and in my dream, I was like, I felt them energetically pass in my body, and I was like, this is bullshit. No, do anything, nothing's working. And so I stood up, and I declared to the house, and I screamed at the top of my lungs, like, I cleanse and clear this fucking house. It was very empowering. And the spookies were pouting and had to leave. So I feel like that kind of metaphorically set me up for facing my fears. I was facing my fears on that trip a bit more. And so after that, I'm still there.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. We eventually went to Pluto's cave.
Yep.
Oh man, I didn't like that place very much.
I didn't either. Unfortunately, you went at the height of tourist time, and that's a place where lots of predatorial energies show up.
Yeah, so
if you ever go back, it's such a tough way to gauge when to go, because a lot of times the snow doesn't clear until mid-June. Sometimes in even July, you still have big tall banks of snow up in Bunny Flats, at 9,000 feet. So September is an odd time of year. It's all about if the rainbow hippie crews are having their drug-filled parties or not. So you got to pay attention. If they're on the mountain, don't go. Don't go. Okay? Okay. Don't go.
Yeah.
And the month before and the month after, don't go. Okay? It's terrible. It's terrible what they do for the physicality of the place and then the energies.
It was apparent.
Yeah, that's why I like to say it's like the Las Vegas of sacred places. The house, okay? The house always wins, okay?
For sure. I mean, overall, it was nothing but magic for our entire group, our community. It was a great group. But for there's like 3 caves, and then you get to the biggest cave. That's deeper and darker and colder.
Yep.
So the first cave, it was stinky, smelly. You can tell a lot of people were peeing and probably doing drugs in there. And all of us, I think we were all dealing with our intrusive thoughts because of, you know, there was some dark energies.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next cave, I feel like maybe it's kind of intensifying for people. For me, I felt like it got better and worse. And then by the time we got to the last cave, I looked at it and I said, nope, heck no. I don't want anything to do with that cave. You can't see the exit. I was terrified.
There's where your Native American DNA blood kicked in and said, no, bitch, don't go.
So that's what I was wondering. I was like, am I being a pansy, or is there really like, is there not much benefit for me to?
You are not being a pansy. No.
Okay.
No, you weren't being a pansy. You were not being a pansy.
I had no FOMO for that last cave. No FOMO. I was like, you guys enjoy that. I went into a certain, like, where I could still see behind.
You're breaking up. Are you there?
Up there. Cave images coming through. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. There were really beautiful cave images where we sat.
Yep.
So we got some benefit, but some of the people that went further in, they did an all lights out kind of thing when they got to the end point that they could go. And some of them were having to deal with some of the darkness. They reached a point of dark night of soul type energy, I think. Anxiety. I think it brought them there. Maybe I don't know. So, you know, fair warning, anybody who's going to go in that cave, it might bring you to a new level of darkness. It may be a good thing. But I didn't want anything to do with going further in. So after that, moving right along, the next day, on the last day, there was other hiking and other waterfalls and beautiful things that we did, but we actually went to the top of the mountain where the top area where we could go. So there was a clearing, and there had been a wedding ceremony there of Aaron Kuhn and Amanda. They do a podcast. They do Journey to Truth podcast, and they had gotten married. They had a sacred circle for their sacred union. And so it was blessed and it was love energy. And, you know, we just sort of impromptu gathered hands and we just going with the flow. Like if anybody wants to do a prayer, let's send them some love. And so we gathered in unity around their circle of unity. And whoa, did we do something? We had prayer and meditation and just someone started doing light language for us, one of the participants. And that's when things got really intense. People started like crying and shaking, the energies. I felt like we were holding hands, and I had the feeling that we all got really, really, really light and we were floating in the air.
All right. So what actually happened is similar to that energy you experienced before. The electromagnetic buildup is like a volcano, and human as consciousness was the removing of the cork on the top. And everyone had their own unique individual vibratory experience that their consciousness went through an interpretation of. You got to understand, when you're working with these pillars of energy that are coming out of the ground, most of it is not connected to the myths that people believe. It's our internal myths, our internal stories that have been created that convert the energy into a believed system of experiences, when in fact, there's no need to have a believed system of experiences with those energies. They're there to expand consciousness in its interconnectivity. Now, when people have sacred ceremonies, etc., Again, that's the uncorking of the energy. That's what humans and general consciousness does when they're in these places. And the rest is the champagne spraying around. You're breaking up.
Oh no. Am I there?
It sounds like you're back now, yes.
Okay. I just made a joke. I said it was like the Mount Shasta jizz all over us, like the champagne spray.
Exactly, Mount Shasta jizz, yep.
But, so after that, we drove down to we ended up at, we were going to the next place. And actually we stopped off at the portal. There was a doorway into tell us that someone, Lowell Johnson had an experience there. So we decided to stop there. We got some really cool images in our photos, lights, big giant orbs and things. And it was very lightheaded there too. We all kind of touched the portal and kind of like jokingly knocked on the door. And well, I was jokingly doing it. Maybe some people felt serious. They wanted to go inside. But we had a big group, and so later on we ended up at Starbucks, and the host had an experience where she's like, something just happened. Like, I feel like something weird happened while we're sitting at the Starbucks, and she was noticing, she's like, I feel like there's beings inside the Starbucks. And then so later on we did a channeling, and the person there who channels, she channeled the Lemurians, and so we asked them questions, what exactly happened there. And what they had relayed in the channeling was that prayer, that energy that we were partaking in stopped the timeline for a moment. And there was a time when we were kind of sitting in all of the dimensions, and actually the electricity, they said that we stopped the electricity in Mount Shasta for an hour in the city.
I wouldn't believe that. I don't think you stopped the timeline. I think your frequency got overloaded with vibration, and your consciousness lost its internal clock, which is just entering the no time, and then you came back into time after the high wore off.
Yeah, maybe that's a better explanation. Like we entered no time together.
Sure. Your consciousness no longer used its internal clock. It went to natural internal consciousness time, which isn't measured in seconds, minutes, hours, and years. It's its own eternal state of perception.
Okay. So yeah, that was pretty much it. And I feel pretty boosted and pretty
Well, what are you going to do with these energies now?
Well, my intention was to keep them going here to help fuel what's next for me. So I moving out, and I felt inspired to begin a practice, to start learning something like psychic surgery or something. I feel like I finally have the energy, whereas before the Rolfing, I didn't have the energy to put towards that.
You still got more Ralphing to do. You know that,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I did want to ask that too.
And before you make the classic light worker mistake of jumping into something before you're ready, I think it's far more important that you listen to your own words, that you got to have more fun.
Yeah.
Okay? You've missed out a lot over the years.
Okay. I like
And
that.
You know you've missed out. This is the time where you just got to let it loose and play more. Before you jump in and put your mind into study, and what are you going to do with the skill? You got so many other things to go out and experience, go out and do, friends, family, working on your own daily practice until it gets stronger. But that's separate of the fun. You need more fun in your life.
Okay.
You need more friends to have time with. Okay? That's far more
Yeah.
important for you to do the rest of the year than taking something like psychic surgery or another class, even hypnotherapy. I think that it would change the cycle inside your mind, and you would avoid fun because you're putting it into the career.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and the type
I
of
like
job
that.
that you do now, you make circuit boards from the ground up for the government, very complex, uniquely focused work. And I think that that energy will jump into any new task you're going to put on that's learning something, which is just going to steal time from having fun, community, friends, all those other things that you could do. Reconnect to your native roots.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
on my list is learning some Navajo songs on the drum, like song and dance songs, just for
Why,
fun.
why don't you try to find somebody that you can do the Navajo language with so you can become
Yeah.
fluent? Okay.
I would. That's on my list. I bought the Rosetta Stone years ago, and it's still sitting there.
Well, break it out or go find somebody in the community to start, having somebody you can, do I sound like a a foreigner when I'm talking, or do I sound somewhat fluent?
I
Okay.
have family. I have family that can help me. That lives right in my
Then,
house.
then invest into that.
Okay.
Invest in it. It'd be far more beneficial for you.
Heck yeah. I love that. I freaking love that. So take this energy and have more freaking fun.
Yeah. And remember what you missed out on. Okay.
Okay.
Now it's time for me to not miss out anymore.
Okay. I do have a question of something about something that was a little disturbing on my drive home. If that's okay.
Sure.
I drove the coast, which was really nice.
You drove the 101? You drove the 101?
I drove CA. I drove 101 and CA1, CA-1.
Okay.
A combination of both. So part of that, I had to go through, the outskirts of San Francisco. And as I was going through the Golden Gate Bridge, this is the first time. I've never actually been there that I know of. I went through the Golden Gate Bridge and I was feeling a little inkling, a sense of deja vu, like something's coming, this is weird. And then immediately after the bridge, there's a tunnel, like a driving tunnel. And I was like, oh man, this is straight from a dream. I was in a dream frequency completely. I was like, I've dreamt of this. I know this place. And immediately when we got out, it was happening more. And I looked on the GPS. I saw there was a park there that said Portals of the Past. I was like, oh, great. That's ironic. And then I said, I'm going to freak out if I see them all over here on the side of the road. And I did end up seeing them all from the same dream. So the problem, I've had this experience before where I've dreamt of places I moved to. Like I dreamt of Portland and I saw those scenes from Portland and I didn't have any problem with that. It's like, ooh, I'm a psychic, but whatever, I didn't care.
This again is your native DNA sensitivity to the land coming through.
Okay.
Okay. You had it in a dream. That means your DNA is interacting with it previously, meaning it was a very important marker stone in your life that you would remember through the dream that this place had a significant meaning to the potential you moving to the future, meaning you did something right and you didn't do something wrong.
Oh shit, okay, that's great. I love that. What was disturbing for me is that I started to become ungrounded and the fear was taking over and I felt a little
the city energy rushing into you.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta get out of this city.
Yep.
I didn't like the city. No, nor do I like passing by LA.
Yeah, the city energy is terrible there. It's poisonous.
Okay, so I love that. It's like hitting a timeline marker that would be significant.
Yeah, you went by
like
mile marker 266. You're in the right spot. You dreamed 266 before. You made it. Okay.
We've arrived.
Exactly.
Okay, now I don't have to freak out about it.
Yeah, the future is ahead.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you so much. Like that's all I wanted to call. I feel like the Phoenix energy that you have on the thumbnail is perfect for me. I was resonating with that right now.
Well, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing you at the event. We're going to have a hell of a blast, and we'll catch you soon.
Okay. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, Joel, let's spin up the wheel of colors and see who is next.
All righty then. Let's go ahead and ask Paul to unmute.
Paul, are you there?
Hey, Andrew, how are you today?
Good. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Great. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Calgary, Alberta.
Calgary, Alberta. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I appreciate your time, of course. My question is, I'm 66 years old and retiring, and my wife and I are going to relocate somewhere in the United States.
Okay, what are you retiring from?
A corporate job, management job.
Okay. How many years you been doing it?
I've been with this company just over 20 years.
Okay. What are you going to do? What are you going to do in your retirement?
Well, that's to be determined. Something creative is where my interests lie. But my question is how to go about relocating to another location. So I wanted to ask if there's a suggested process to go through to try to find an area that is most resonant with our energy.
Snow or no? We'll start with this: snow or no snow.
No snow. So we're
hurricane. Okay, no snow. Hurricanes or no hurricanes.
No coastal living.
No coastal living. No snow. No coastal living. Cornfields or forests.
Probably more forest.
Okay. And can you deal with humidity?
Yes, I grew up in Houston, Texas, so humidity is.
So you are in the United States. You're going to be in the Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, Lower Ohio Valley will be ideal places for you to look for places to retire. Property is the cheapest there in all of 50 states. Your other opportunity is going to be Idaho, Montana, but you're going to be dealing with snow up there no matter what. Same with Colorado. So no coastal, no snow, no hurricanes leaves you that section of the United States that's obviously away from enough from the coast, but inward enough where it's the edge of the Appalachians. It's the Appalachia area.
Hey, Andrew.
Well,
yep.
He's from Western Canada, so Longmont, where we were, is probably a good idea for him because they don't get that much snow up there.
Well, it rarely snows in the Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia. They get more ice storms than anything, and that's a rarity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And southern Ohio, and that's the Ohio River, the Allegheny Rivers into Pittsburgh too. But Pittsburgh can get snow too. But
yeah, thanks so much for that. That's actually an area we're targeting. We have a trip planned to the Tennessee area in middle of September. But some of my family lives in Arkansas, so I wanted to ask a more broad question. Is it a good idea to live near womb chakras?
Are you intending to do practice?
My personal practices, maybe something more in a group fashion once I get settled wherever I will be.
Well, those energies are active whether you're aware of them or not. Okay. And essentially what a womb chakra means is lots of birthing energy. So the fish spawning up streams and all the things that come with it, all the different life forces that are born. And that birthing energy has heavy influence over the growth of human consciousness. And even into the Tennessee Valley, you have huge birthing energies that go on in there from all the unique flora and fauna and water life that lives there. The key is you got to tap into it, okay? And you got to learn to have your own personal relationship with it, okay? It's also important to know what you're going to do in your retirement. You know, you said creative. That means a lot of things. Do you really know what you're going to do in retirement?
No, but I am approaching it with a positive frame of mind. And I know that once I get settled, I'll be active in some endeavors. Could be.
You don't know the reality of how retirement's going to affect you yet.
I know it's a big emotional adjustment, right? There's the
It's
detox.
beyond an emotional. It's an energetic adjustment that ends up slapping the shit out of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't have that infrastructure that you go to every day that has a leadership matrix that you're interactive with. And once that leadership matrix actually you detoxify from it, what you'll discover is you give a lot of your own personal choice and willpower away to that job for decades at a time, and you find it very tough to start your own stuff.
Yeah.
That's how retirement affects a lot of people.
Yeah, I have challenging myself about how to stay disciplined and scheduled, even though I don't have this external influence.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is you got to discover a passion before you retire.
Okay.
Even if that passion ends up changing. David, do you have anything you would like to add for somebody that's in that journey of disconnecting from the leadership matrix of a job and trying to retire?
Oh, I think I have a PhD in this one.
Thank you.
He's coming from a corporate environment and he's in Western Canada. So there are a number of things that he has to take into consideration. Number one, he would want to live in a place that resonates with some form of common sense. So he can't live in too many places in the how should I put it? He definitely is the East Coast is just dead for him. So we're looking at, as you said, Virginia and those kinds of places. He comes from Big Sky country, okay? Yeah. So coastal living is not going to go well with him at all, okay? He said that he can handle the humidity. Please understand that the humidity that you handled when you were younger will not be the same as the humidity that you're going to handle now in this space and time. And as you get older, your sensitivity to the weather becomes a little bit more acute. Honestly, if you're going to disconnect from the corporate environment, Andrew gave you some really good advice there. You got to discover a passion before you leave, because the energy from corporate is not easily put down. I know how that goes. You would like to just say, okay, I'm retiring. Everybody would like to retire, but your body can retire, but your mind is going to keep looking for certain markers, certain cues. So finding some sort of passion before you actually leave to redirect some of that energy is a good idea. It really is. And he sounds like he's been a lifer in corporate. So yeah.
Thanks so much, David, for that advice. Yes, that process is, I look forward to it and know that it will require the same sort of dedication I have to my job is going to have to be to my personal development.
I would also suggest that wherever you choose to live, remember that you are from Western Canada. You are used to a certain kind of living. I live in Western Canada, which is why I actually ran to Western Canada, Paul. All right? You're used to a certain kind of living. So wherever you choose to live in the US has to have some semblance of where you came from. because it can be jarring if you choose to live in a place where simple courtesies that you are used to are not present. Okay? So as an example, I'm going to give you the extreme example. You should not move to New York, as an example.
Yeah,
Okay?
I've been to New York, and yeah, those energies are more abrupt.
Yes. So what Andrew's telling you, you come from big sky country, you want to see the sky. When you go to the bakery, you want the people know your name. I'm sure.
Yeah.
The people know your name. There's a kind of energy that is in Alberta, and I'm in Saskatchewan, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Right. Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, there's a kind of energy that is here that you are going to miss. I'm going to be very straight with you. It's not right, but I would suggest you find places where people still have those kinds of energies running, because that's what you're used to.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for saying that. One last question. Now, some of my family lives in Arkansas. Now, I know Arkansas has a lot of crystalline earth structure to it.
It's a huge rock hound area. Same with Tennessee, Kentucky, upper Alabama. You can rock hound on the surface, and within 10 inches of many places under the surface, you remove the dirt and you'll find full crystalline structures. And there are many people who have made massive wealthy finds just from rock hounding through the woods in those areas.
But is it a good idea to live above these energies?
Most of the time, you'll never know.
Okay.
But you'll never know. The vast majority of parts of Arkansas are very heavy crystal and limestone that's half a mile thick, followed by granite. But that's all of the South is like that. And it all has moving water underneath it. And it's what creates the soup of electromagnetic energy that attracts the spawning life there. Okay.
Okay.
You need those high fields. Okay. Where you come from, you have a form of it. And what you will discover is those areas, their modulation is much stronger than what you're used to. To use the scientific frequency modulation, the waveform is going to be much more intense, and it will take time for you to get used to.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to live in an urban area.
No, I mean, there are plenty of places that have 100,000, 75,000 people, and I mean, they're beautiful towns all throughout that middle South. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Beautiful places to live with, decent sized homes. I mean, there's not a lot of jobs there, but that's fine. It's not really what you're going there for.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay? So let me ask you about your corporate work. You just basically were a manager?
Well, my trade is accounting, so right now I do tax management for the organization I work for.
Okay. So you're a bean counter.
Yes, by trade.
Okay. Have you done anything else?
It's the color of the beans, Andrew.
It's the color of the beans, exactly. Have you done anything else?
No, not professionally.
Okay. Have you have any hobbies?
Well, since I've been exploring a lot of your work and I do a lot of structure around that, and so hobbies would be writing. I mean, I like to just sit down and write. So I have a book idea that is something I want to pursue when I have the detox time and get relocated. So yeah, thanks for asking.
Okay. Do you do any outdoor sports?
Yes, I like to ride the bicycle.
Okay. What about hunting and fishing?
Not hunting. Fishing, I haven't done much, but that is something to be contemplated.
Okay. You're going to be going to an area where water sports, hunting, and fishing is absolutely everywhere. And I mean absolutely everywhere. You got to know that. And there are parts of the Kentucky, Tennessee Valley that have these man-made lakes that are fingerling lakes that are Lake Milton that connects over like a 700-mile place. Okay. And water sports are probably going to be one of those things you'll have to adapt to. Okay.
Okay.
So maybe consider getting a boat, okay, while you're down there, because you can still do work on your boat. Okay. You can still be in that retired energy. It's just something you're going to have to adapt to with the energies there. And like I said before, you got to find something that's passionate before you leave. If you don't, what you're going to discover is the self-starting energy isn't there because the leadership matrix that your brain will tap into isn't feeding back to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Really appreciate that advice.
Yeah. Really put some extra effort in finding, even if that passion changes, finding something before.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for the information and advice, and thanks so much, David, for your input.
All right, brother. Take it easy. Good talking to you.
Okay, you too. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right, Joel, let's spin up the wheel of callers and see who is next.
Okay, let's see here. Marie, signal to unmute.
Marie, are you there? Marie, are you there? 1, two, 3. Let's move on to the next. Counted her out.
All right, Angel Garcia, signal to unmute.
Angel Garcia, are you there?
Yes, right here, Andrew.
How you doing, Angel? Been a while since we talked.
Oh my God. Everything that has happened since I last spoke to you. What, it's been like 7, 8 years? I was living in Topanga at that time.
I remember.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just wild. But you mentioned I'm living now in Ukiah up in Northern California.
Good job.
Yeah, it needed to happen. A lot more peaceful, and it was great to get away from LA. But wow, it's just amazing. You know, the last time I spoke to you, Andrew, you brought up Don Jose Sandoval, which old elder at the Sierra Nevada mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And you said there was some kind of a lineage connection between me and him. And I'm like, wow, I've never met the guy. I don't think I have. And you said, yeah, you think you've met him at some point. But he's calling out to the relatives and whatnot and calling people in. Well, you know what, Andrew? 3 years after that, 3 or 4 years after that, I actually went to find him, even though I didn't really know whether he was going to be there or not. But I made my way down to Mexico, down to Guadalajara. I landed in Guadalajara, took a bus out, and then eventually ended up going all the way up into the Sierra Nevada mountains to the town where I had found out that he lived. And he happened to be there. And I just basically showed up unannounced.
Did he talk to you?
Yeah, you know, at first he's like, he must have thought, who the hell is this guy showing up out of nowhere? I mean, I'm telling you, this town is like way, way, way up there.
You're deep in the cartel country too.
I didn't even know. You know what? Now that you mentioned that, yeah, there was an incident when I was leaving. And they took me down to one of the closest little towns. And that's where I would take the bus to move on, you know. But I stayed at a hotel, and I'm like looking across the way from my room, and I'm seeing these guys with like not rifles, but machine guns. And I guess it was the cops. And I think they were setting up to go somewhere to go look for the cartels or whatnot. And I'm like, I don't think it's probably a good deal for me to stay here. So yeah. So but I left there. But yes, I got to meet Don Jose Sandoval. I didn't really tell him about how or why I showed up. I just wanted to leave it open. I was there for 3 days, went there, just sat with him. You know, he took me in. There were several ceremonies, family ceremonies that I got to be a part of. And So just kind of like went through the motions. I just felt like I needed to accomplish that and do that in order just to connect with them without really getting into asking them a bunch of questions. I just wanted to be able to just be present with him and his family.
And you did.
And I did. I don't know what answers I got, but I had a good time. It's just
That's all your soul needed, though. How did life change? How did life change after you got back?
I think coming and moving out of LA was a big thing. I had been talking to my wife about it for a while, just to kind of make that convincing her. I was like, hey, I think this would be a good idea, and it's closer to work because I've been working in the cannabis industry for years and years. So I did make the move up here. But Andrew, working in that industry, I don't anymore. As of last year, I think it just did a number on my lower back. And I'm feeling the repercussions of that. Talk about not being a spring chicken anymore.
Well, there's ways that you could fix that lower back, and it's just going to require you taking some due diligence and effort and getting somebody to come in there and do lower back releases, learning something like a really advanced form of yoga and putting some absolute really good effort into it, and you can reverse a lot of back stuff. David, you want to add anything about yoga and lower back pains?
Yeah, please, David. I would appreciate it.
Yes, I was muted again. So I would need some background information. Tell me about your lower back pain. Exactly where is it?
Down the lower back vertebrae. Recently I got an MRI done, and there were 2 bulging discs.
Where?
And
Give me the number. Give me the letters and the numbers.
Honestly, David, I really don't remember what the numbers
Okay,
are.
so let me walk you through it.
Okay.
Your spine is divided into 6, sometimes 7 bones in your neck, 12 bones in your upper back,
Okay.
5 bones in your lower back, and another 5 bones right at the tail, right? So I'm going to ask you a question. Is your pain right at the tail, the S region?
Right at the tail, yes.
Okay, so it's near your coccyx, basically where you sit down, correct?
No, I would say it's higher. I would say it's higher than that. Not
Okay.
at the tail, right above the butt,
So it's in the
beginning of that base.
Okay, so it's in the lumbar region of your back. So you have bulging disc in the lumbar region of your back. That's the first thing that we have to do. Question, is it referring any pain down your legs at all?
Well, it did. This last bout that I had, eventually I started feeling pain down my leg. That had never happened before. And boy, it was 4 months of pain that I went through. Yeah.
Okay, so your sciatic nerve is involved. So my question is, how far down your leg was the pain referred?
It went down, not to my foot, but down to the front part of my leg, lower part of my leg.
Okay, so it was some major pain you were in, obviously.
Major, constant.
Right.
Yeah.
So they told you that you had bulging disc, is that correct?
There was 2 at 2 different spots, yeah.
Okay, so that's L bones, 2 bulging bones in the L bones. Here are the things that you're going to need, okay?
Yes.
You're going to need to create some space in the bulging discs. Bulging discs are exactly what they say they are. They're discs in this. When they say disc, they mean the vertebra, okay? And so, and the foramina in between them, they're bulging. So the foramina are like, this is how your spine is configured. You got bones, and then you got a little spongy pad between them, and then another bone and a spongy pad, and so on. Okay. And so as you get older, depending on what you do, these bones and the spongy pad degrades, the bones probably bulge, etc., etc. So when that happens, you're looking at trying to give yourself some traction immediately. Okay, meaning space, right?
Yes.
Anything, whenever somebody says tractions, it means pulling something apart, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not tractor, traction. And so what you're going to have to do is learn how to give yourself some space. So here are the things that you can do right off the bat
Okay.
to reduce your pain. Pause yoga for a moment. Let's do some physical therapy on the self. You find a counter. You
Okay.
put your hands, a very firm counter.
Okay.
Put your hands down on the counter
Mm-hmm.
and push up like you want to take yourself off the ground, but don't leave the ground. Leave the rest of your body limp so that when you push up, the shoulder girdle, the collarbone, and the scapula are causing upward force on your spine, which will pull on your spine. You will hear little cracking noises,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the first thing that you probably need to do.
Okay.
The second thing that you need to do is lie down on the ground. I know a lot of people get yourself on a firm flat mattress that's, well, a mat or something.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to bring your knees up to your chest, one at a time, first of all. Bring them both up to your chest and just pulse them in. Hold your knees and pulse them in and out of your chest. That will give your lower back traction.
Okay.
Can you picture that? You're lying on the
Yes.
mat.
Yeah.
Both your knees are pulled into your chest. You're holding onto your knees,
Mm-hmm.
and you're actually pulling in and out slowly to
Yes.
give your lower back traction.
Mm-hmm.
That is to give yourself some relief from the pain, because if you don't get relief from the pain, you're not going to do any kind of yoga anyway. Okay. And like whenever we give you guys advice, we don't talk off the top of our heads. I'm going to tell you guys this right now. When Andrew is speaking and when I'm speaking,
Mm-hmm.
it's because I've actually had discs crushed in my lower back myself.
Oh,
I have been through this.
so you understand.
Oh, yes, I understand.
Yeah.
This is why I asked you the series of questions I asked you.
Yeah.
I used yoga to come back from that when it was suggested that a doctor would go into my back and do back surgery on me. I said, no, I'll do it myself, thanks.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes, because
So,
you know what, I was considering that, like at this point, I'm like, God, do I have to do surgery? Is this going to be, or I'm always going to be afraid of any movement causing this pain to come back. And
okay,
it just feels like I'm really, delicate in that spot.
okay, so I'll tell you my story and that'll help you understand. I was
Okay.
doing weightlifting.
Mhm.
The weight that I was holding above my head was heavier than I was.
Oof.
I was sitting on a bench and it caused the lower back discs to squeeze and pinch some nerves down there, which referred pain down my leg. The
Oh,
pain is indescribable.
I
It
know.
is the kind of pain when it hits you,
Drops you to the ground, right?
yeah,
Drops you to the ground.
you can't even scream. It hurts that much. You
Mhm.
can't say ow or anything. So I went to a doctor because I was in pain 24 hours a day. It was causing my heart to actually, because when you're in pain, obviously your heart rate stays up, right?
Mhm.
And he put me on something called Motrin, which was not a good thing back in the day. And he
Mhm.
said that we got to operate on your back. And at some point in time, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I have my
Mhm.
whole life ahead of me. I'm not doing that. So
Mhm.
I went the road less traveled, and I decided to use my knowledge of yoga to take this pain away.
Mhm.
And I can tell you that it's not an easy road, but I'm going to tell you that 5 months after that pain, that incident,
Mhm.
I went back after that same weight again and I lifted it up. So my point is the following. Here are the things that you need to do to create some space. The top traction is when you put your hands down on the counter and you press upwards. It
Okay.
will give your back some space on the top. And lying down and pulsing your knees into your chest will give your back some traction at the bottom, which will relieve some of the nerve pain that you're having.
Okay.
The yoga poses that you are going to need, don't try to be fancy and don't try to get inventive, are the child's pose,
Mhm.
right? So when you're leaning back on your knees and in a hunched position and you're leaning back, do not sleep on the child's pose. It is extremely effective for a number of things. Okay?
Okay.
You're going to need the child's pose. You're going to need the following thing. You know what Sukhasana is? It's
No.
when you sit cross-legged. It's just basically basic cross-legged sitting on the ground.
Okay.
Then you're going to try to put your elbow down to the left. You're going to try to put your elbow down to the right. That is the sideways traction. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Yes.
Then you're going to try to do spinal twist, which is just try to turn from the root of your body and turn the bones to the left, turn it to the right. That is a spinal twist. Do it from Sukhasana. Don't go into the yoga books and watch some guy, some Indian guy, wrap himself up like a pretzel. Keep it real simple.
Okay. Hear you.
Keep it real simple. That guy has been doing that since he was like he came out of the womb. Don't try to get very. I'm going to try to find. Andrew, can you give me something to share my screen? Do I have permissions?
Yeah, Joel, can you make him co-host?
We're good, I think. I'm hoping.
Yeah, you're
I'm gonna
close.
put this on, I'm gonna put this on screen so that you are not confused.
Okay. Thank you, David.
Do you see this? This is Sukhasana.
Yes. Oh, okay. Okay.
All right. This is Sukhasana. This is the child's pose. That is the child's pose. That pose is don't get into this.
Yeah.
Keep it this.
Yes, I've done some of that. Yeah.
It's basic. It's this is the child's pose. Spinal twist from Sukhasana. That is a spinal twist from Sukhasana. Okay. I imagine you're in this position before you do the spinal twist, and you're facing. Don't get into this stuff here. Keep it simple. Okay. All right. Spinal twist from Sukhasana, and before you do that, you're going to try to put your elbow down to the left and down to the right by this bending sideways on each side. Okay.
Okay.
You're going to keep doing that, and then there will be a little crack. There will be little cracking sounds in your body, right? But you're trying to. Let me show you. Anatomy of the spine. All right. Let's look at the sagittal view of the spine. This is how your spine is. So you're getting pain right in this area here.
Yeah, right there.
Okay, and so if you look at the spine from the frontal plane, you see what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
So you're going to push down and raise, and you're going to try to straighten this up, right?
Yes. Okay.
Create space. That's what I was talking about. When you're lying down on your back and you're pulling your knees in, all of this is going to be curled in, right? To create space inside here. Make sense?
Yes.
I'm going to just do one more search here. Traction of the, hold on one sec. Let's try this as self-traction upper back.
Okay.
Look, self-traction. This is what I'm talking about, pushing up.
Okay. Okay.
Don't get into this. You don't need to traction your neck. Okay, that's neck decompression.
Okay.
Right, you don't need to. That is what I'm talking about right here. Push.
Oh, that's what I was imagining. Hey, David, do you think it's a good idea to get one of those inversion benches, or those that kind of get you upside down?
All right, let me give you this joke, right? So, a guy who lived in Toronto got himself an inversion thing, right? And he's a naturalist, right? So he likes to do his inversions naked, right? So it all went wrong when he got tied up in his inversion machine, and he couldn't untie himself from the inversion machine, and he had to call maintenance in his apartment to come and release him. And yeah, he was naked, right? So don't get an inversion machine. Keep it simple. This is what we're talking about. All right, upper traction. You could probably use this as well for traction on your back. And I'm talking about bringing your knees up there and holding your knees and pulling it this way, pulsing it this way. And that will absolutely help you with the pain level.
Thank you so much, David. How often were you doing that? Because I mean, how long did it take for you to get back to the point where you felt confident enough to go ahead and lift weights?
Pain significantly reduced within a month, within less than a month, actually. It was less than a month, right? And then I decided to step up my game. And years later, I became a yoga teacher for the Yoga Alliance and taught yoga teachers yoga. Yeah. So it was a journey.
It's a journey. Yeah, it feels, wow, when you're in that pain, you just feel like it's never going to end. Do you feel like you're going to be that way for the rest of your life?
No, you're not going to be that way for the rest of your life. But if you do not take action, you will have an issue. Okay?
Yes.
And I can tell you that pain, I really do understand it. They actually put me on drugs to manage it. Okay? Yeah, so I was a druggie for 5 months.
Wow.
And I had to wean myself off of that too, because drugs are wonderful, let me tell you. Especially pain medication is a wonderful thing. Like Andrew can tell you, it's like when they put you on pain medication, all your worries go away. So you don't want to go down that road.
No, I'm glad I haven't done that. Yeah.
Right. You don't want to go down that road, let me tell you. So my suggestion would be that you go down the other road, which is taking charge of your own health, right? And that pain is a great teacher. I know for me, that pain made me become the yoga teacher that I was, because I could empathize with other people's pain. Okay? That pain, don't look at it as just continually negative. There are things it's trying to teach you. It really is.
I appreciate you a lot. That means a lot, what you just did, what you just showed me.
No, that's okay. Because I do understand what pain you're in. Believe you me, I do.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. Well, it's great to be here in this room with you guys. And Andrew, it's great to be able to talk to you again after all these years. And it's been about 7-8 years.
Well, thanks for coming back.
Yeah, definitely. Could I ask one more thing?
Sure, go ahead.
This is kind of like going left field now all of a sudden. It's about Bigfoot.
Okay.
I've been, for the past several months, I've been kind of fascinated by, because I never really thought about it much, but for some reason, something was just all of a sudden caught my attention, and I started going deep into that world, and trying to learn as much as possible, and what the different experiences that people were having. And it's interesting that you also have been having people on talking about the topic all of a sudden, it seems like to me.
Yeah, we had Bigfoot month.
Yeah.
On the native crossroads.
Yeah, so I'm finding it interesting that the timing, it's like all of a sudden you guys are talking about it, and I'm like learning what I can through you as well, and everyone else. And but there's one particular name that really kind of came to me recently, Mark Barton, and I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yes, I have.
And his experience was kind of mind-blowing to me, and I was like, whoa, what's this all about now? What is this connection that he spoke about with regards to Bigfoot and the whispery hooded creatures that he talked about that pretty much did a number on him, kind of made him go a little crazy, what is the connection there? Because I feel like that's kind of a very big deal. I mean, it's kind of major in a sense, if there is some connection between
different species.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why were they trying to kill him?
Different species that have different purposes, have different forms of territorial, and then there are subspecies within species that are not friendly to humans because they've been hunted for so long. And then there were other species who are similar to Bigfoot, but genetically they are predators, and they will remain predators. Their genetic lineage won't change out of being a predator, which exists in nature. Okay. So he was dealing with a predator group that just wasn't going to change.
So those are the wispy, dark, shadowy, you see in your periphery beings?
They have the ability to create illusions in the mind. We just talked about this on the Bigfoot shows. They
Mm,
can generate a smell, even though the smell's not actually there, but your brain believes it is.
yes, I've heard.
They
Yes.
have an understanding of how sensory perception works, and they can mask and create all forms of manifested sensory illusions that have a real factor to it. Because once we smell something, our belief engine kicks in. Once our
Mhm.
belief engine kicks in, we generate an energy, whether it's fear or whatever it is. And once that belief engine starts creating energy, they're able to harvest it and use it more and more and more.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty wild. I mean, he was on when I heard that particular interview with Carrie Arnold, which he eventually passed away in a car accident after the interview, maybe about a year or so after that. You know, it almost feels like there's a connection there.
Are
to-
you being affected by something?
Yeah, like this accident that happened to this car accident, because it's funny that Mark Barton actually mentions, oh, these guys can kill you in different ways. It could be a heart attack, it could be a car accident, and then then a year later, Carrie Arnold dies in a car accident, and he's like
Yeah.
the one interviewing him.
Some of the stuff people say are a little over the top and bombastic, but
Mm,
are
mm.
you familiar with Dave Pilates?
Oh
Pilates.
yes, oh
Yeah.
yes, oh yes.
He has talked about the tens of thousands of missing people at the national parks for well into 2 decades now.
Hmm.
There is clearly a predatory species in and around the national parks that no one wants to talk about. Okay, and they can take people at will for whatever reasons that they have. At the same time, the volume in which they could take is it's not there. They take only what they need. Okay.
Yeah.
They're not venturing into the major cities and having wanton destruction.
Mm,
Okay, because if they did, there would be a wanton destruction response to them. We'd roll in with tanks and burn the forests down.
hmm hmm Yeah.
Okay, so there's a delicate truce that exists. Okay, first thing first, don't fall into fear. You fall into fear, you've already lost.
I agree.
Okay,
I agree.
that means you have to step up your daily practice, step
Mhm.
up your prayer process,
Yeah.
identify the parts of you that are still susceptible to fear processes,
Mhm.
and begin immunizing yourself with energies that can counter fear.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Andrew, with that. Because yeah, it's just like there's that awareness. You can understand that there is this kind of relationship. There's this dynamic happening. This is happening, and it's coming more to the fore. Now, are we going to be in fear about it and just kind of, I mean, it seems like this has always been the case. It's just coming out a little bit more. We're being more aware of what's going on in our surroundings. That's what I'm seeing.
You're becoming more aware.
Mm.
And the interviews activated an aspect inside you that still is dealing with the fear. And that aspect that's dealing with the fear is trying to make it into a phobia within inside you.
Mm.
Okay? David,
Mhm.
anything you want to add when fears are turning into phobias and how you can deal with that part of the mind and the mental health issue that creates from too much fear? Muted.
I
We
believe
lose David?
I think David's gone.
Yeah, David's gone. I don't see him on here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He might have to take a call. All right.
Yeah.
So when fear becomes rooted and we've ignored it long enough,
Mhm.
it tries to take the inch that becomes a mile every opportunity that it gets. And every opportunity you let something into your environment in awareness or unawareness and
Mhm.
do nothing about it, you give it more moral authority to take charge when you're not in charge. Okay? And then it develops the identity that I'm the soul and you're not.
Yeah, you gotta always try to stay in awareness, huh? Always kind of keep an eye on
That's
that,
why
make sure that it doesn't get, overwhelms you or keeps you
free
from doing
will,
things.
free will can be a bitch,
Yeah,
and
You
we
know-
must use it at all times.
yeah.
Let's express our ability with it at all times.
And I'm wondering with this, my son Copal, I had mentioned him to you the last time I spoke to you. He went through something a couple of years ago where it was like this really intense transformation, and it seemed like he was having these really major panic attacks to the point where I could see that it was really, I could see it in his face, and he was just afraid to sleep in his room, so he would sleep in the living room. And, I'm like, I really didn't understand exactly what was going on in that time. I don't know if you have any input as to what might have been happening at that time for him. Why was
How
it
long ago? How long ago was this?
This is about a year and a half ago, 2 years.
And how old was he then?
He was 18.
Has he dated girls and lost his virginity yet?
Yes. Well, he had one girlfriend and he broke up about several months back. And that was a big part also of like the changes that
Right.
were going
So
on.
his issues is he's creating portals from the missing love and is having to deal with not having that sexual energy in there. And he got into a haunted dream world, possibly through porn and masturbation, but not necessarily just that. That's his fear of going to sleep. He tapped into something he shouldn't.
Okay. Yeah, eventually it subsided and he was able to sleep, because he was feeling a lot of negativity in the room for some reason. But eventually that passed and then he was able to go
Because he was able
to
to
bed.
overcome it. Yeah. Yeah, able to overcome it.
Yeah. And he did. And now he's very like, very in tune with like what he's eating and wanting to have a better diet. And he's very focused on that, on the diet. It's interesting to see him kind of get into that, which is great. Like he feels like it's helped him quite a bit. But he's still I think there's fear there because he's not very social. He doesn't want to get out much, and I'm always thinking, wow, when we were at that age, we were like running around and taking off with friends.
He
And
also got kicked out of the house. Okay.
yeah,
Mom wanted to be in the house alone. We were that generation where we didn't get to be in the house. It was get the hell out and don't come back till lunch or dinner.
well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there was like eight, have like 7 siblings. So it's like, there's no hanging out in the house much. And it's like, get the hell out and go out and play and take off and run around the neighborhood
Right.
and come back at night.
Pretty much. That's how I grew up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a whole nother scene for them.
Yeah, a whole nother scene for them.
A whole nother scene for them. Well, thank you for that info, Andre.
You're welcome.
And it's really
Good
nice to
talking
be
to
able
you.
to speak to you again. Yeah.
Good. All right, brother. Take it easy. Good talking to you.
Take care.
All right, Joel, we're going to call it an end to the show right now. I am tired. I'm whooped out. We will be back tomorrow for our ongoing Loosh Report, Season 1 of the Apocalypse, Episode 5, as we are giving you the Loosh Report before we start our Friday night game stream. Come on and join us for this new evolving way of telling you what's going on in the strange, ridiculous world that we're all eating popcorn and watching and waiting for the next crazy thing to happen. And the Apocalypse, Episode 5.